I was still wiping sleep from my eyes when the elevator doors opened. My carry-on was still strapped to my shoulder, red-eye sweat still sticking to my back. I stepped into the lobby of Branner and Company and stopped cold. Right in front of the receptionist desk were 3 black trash bags. My trash bags. My name was on a yellow post-it stuck to one. Tanya stood next to them in a navy blazer like she was about to present me with a damn plaque. "You're 46, Sean," she said, arms crossed. "We're restructuring. You've been let go. No greeting, no warning, just that. Quick note. Before listening, share which city or country you're watching from." I blinked. I just closed the Henderson deal. $22 million. Less than 12 hours ago, she smiled, like that was cute. I know. Behind her, a few people had gathered. Sales team, IT, even Marcus from legal. They weren't talking. Just standing there with half-curious, half-scared looks, like they were watching a guy get his legs cut off. Marcus had this grin like he was waiting for a punchline. I looked down at the bags. "Is my laptop in there?" "Company property," Tanya said. "Your personal files were transferred to a USB. That's in the smallest bag." She didn't even blink. I looked past her into the hallway, my hallway, where I'd walked every day for 9 years. It felt like I was staring at someone else's life. "I just landed. You couldn't have waited till tomorrow." She tilted her head. "We figured this was cleaner." I bent down, grabbed the handles of the biggest bag, and lifted. It was heavy. Printer parts, books, probably the backup headset I bought with my own damn money. My shoulders were already burning. The second bag slipped, and I had to juggle it into place while Tanya watched like this was her afternoon entertainment. "You could have at least used boxes," I muttered. Tanya smirked. "We ran out." I didn't look at anyone else. I didn't say another word. I just walked out. 3 garbage bags, a USB with my name on it, my little office plant crushed at the bottom, and a neck full of tension I could feel pulsing with every step. But just before the elevator doors shut, I looked back. Tanya was still there, still smiling. It wasn't relief, it was satisfaction. And that's when it hit me. This wasn't about business. This was personal. I got in my car and drove. No plan, no direction. Just me and the road, and a wheel I gripped so tight my knuckles went white. The freeway signs blurred past, and I barely noticed. I ended up 2 towns over, sitting in front of a little 1-story ranch house with peeling paint and the same old busted porch light that never got fixed. My dad's place. I hadn't called, just parked and sat there until the porch light flipped on and the front door creaked open. He didn't ask questions, didn't give me that look either, just leaned against the doorframe and said, "You hungry?" I nodded once. That was it. Inside, nothing had changed. Same couch, same plastic over the armrests, same faint smell of motor oil and cigarettes soaked into the walls. He microwaved some chili, cracked open 2 beers, and slid one across the table. I took a breath and told him everything. The flight, the bags, Tanya, the Henderson deal, the look on her face. He didn't interrupt, just stared at the table, jaw locked, sipping his beer like it was holding him back from breaking something. When I finally stopped talking, he muttered, "That don't smell like downsizing to me." I didn't say anything, just sat there, watching the steam curl off a bowl of chili I didn't have the stomach to eat. That night, I laid on the couch staring at the ceiling fan, counting the blades go around. Couldn't sleep. My brain wouldn't shut off. I kept seeing Ellie's face too, how she popped up out of nowhere last month. "Project manager," Tanya said. "We need fresh eyes." But she never managed a damn thing. She just sat in on my meetings and took notes like a spy. And Tanya, she'd started cutting me off mid-sentence in front of clients. I'd chalked it up to stress. Now I knew better. In the morning, I pulled out my laptop from one of those trash bags and finally opened the termination email. It was ice cold, all boilerplate. "Thank you for your service. Due to restructuring, blah, blah, blah." But halfway down, something jumped out. Buried in legal sludge was a non-compete clause I hadn't thought about in years. Signed 7 years ago. Looked tough at first glance. No logistics firms in the region for 18 months. Not even consulting. My stomach dropped. Then I remembered something. 2 weeks ago, I stayed late, trying to fix some rollout gaps in the Henderson plan. Around 10:30, I heard voices in the break room, Tanya and Marcus. "Sheldon's got too much FaceTime with Henderson's people," Tanya said. He's practically glued to Dale's team. Marcus laughed. Ellie's family owns part of their supplier chain. Give it a month, I didn't laugh. I stood there in the dark, listening, frozen, and like an idiot, I stayed late again the next night. I was sitting in the kitchen, still in yesterday's clothes, staring at that damn USB like it might explode, when my phone rang. Number I didn't recognize. Local area code. I almost let it go to voicemail. Then I picked up. "Sean Sheldon?" the voice said. Deep, clipped, irritated. "Yeah. This is Dale Henderson. I just have one question. Why the hell did you leave us hanging?" My stomach tightened. "Excuse me?" "We signed that contract 2 nights ago. You vanish, no follow-up, no call. We start getting handed off to some junior team that doesn't know shit about our logistics model. You left mid-implementation. Why?" I stood up from the chair, felt the blood rush to my face. "I didn't leave. They fired me." The second I landed, silence. Then Dale said, "That's not what Tanya told us." "Of course she didn't. She said you left voluntarily, said you had a better offer." "I didn't," I snapped. "I had a suitcase and 3 trash bags waiting in the lobby." "That's it." Another long pause, but this time his tone shifted, calmer, sharper. "I didn't buy it," he said. "You busted your ass for us. No way you'd ghost like that." I sat back down, hand gripping the edge of the counter. "We should talk," he added. "Lunch. This week, name the place," I said. He hesitated, then added, "Your firm's blowing smoke up our ass. Maybe you and I need to talk directly." That stuck with me. Not your old firm, your firm, like he already saw me separate from them. After we hung up, I grabbed a legal pad from the junk drawer and started writing. Client names, phone numbers, specific problems I solved, shipping bottlenecks, warehouse system tweaks, cross-platform scheduling fixes. Stuff I designed myself. None of it was on the shared drives. I never trusted Tanya or Marcus enough to upload the deep dive stuff. By the time the sun started coming through the blinds, I had 5 pages filled. My hand cramped, but I kept writing. Solutions, rollout steps, contacts, workarounds. Every bullet point was mine. No one could take that from me. I looked around my dad's kitchen. Same brown linoleum. Same dent in the fridge from when I slammed it shut at 17. But this time, it didn't feel like a step back. It felt like neutral ground, like I was gearing up for something. I didn't sleep. But I wasn't angry anymore, not like before. I wasn't pacing or yelling or staring at the ceiling like I was gonna break. I was locked in. If they wanted me out so bad, fine. They just handed me a clean slate, and I was about to draw blood with it. 3 days later, I walked back through the same front doors they'd tossed me out of, with a contractor badge and a signed agreement from Henderson's legal team in my glove box. The front desk guy, Carl, looked up from his crossword, squinted, then leaned back with a little laugh. "Well, damn," he said. "You back?" "As a contractor," I said, holding up the badge Dale had overnighted. Henderson signed me on to Run Point. Carl shook his head, chuckled low. "Welcome to the other side." The elevator ride felt longer than usual. My heartbeat was steady, but my shoulders were squared and my jaw locked up tight. I wasn't here for payback. I was here to do the damn job right. But I'd be lying if I said the thought of Tanya seeing my face again didn't hit a nerve. I walked into the 3rd-floor conference room 5 minutes early, empty except for the notepads and a water pitcher sweating onto a paper coaster. Then the door opened, and one by one they filed in. Lisa from Ops froze mid-step. Todd from Compliance damn near tripped. Nobody said anything, but the air in the room changed, tense, like someone cracked a window during a storm. Then came Tanya. She walked in with Ellie and Marcus behind her, mid-convo, laughing at something, until her eyes landed on me. She stopped cold. Her smile didn't even have time to fade. It just vanished. Marcus cleared his throat. Ellie blinked like she'd seen a ghost. Tanya opened her mouth to speak, but Dale stepped in behind her. "Morning, everyone," he said, breezy as hell. "This is Sean Sheldon. He'll be overseeing the implementation from our end." No one said a word. Dale pulled out a chair and sat down, like it was just another Tuesday. I didn't look at Tanya, didn't need to. I heard her chair creak as she sat down across from me, stiff and silent. The meeting went downhill fast. Dale fired off questions, real ones, timeline checkpoints, load balancing specs, API hooks. Ellie didn't have answers, not even close. She kept flipping through printed notes like the answers were hiding between the lines. Tanya jumped in to cover, but every sentence was more corporate fluff. Dale kept looking at me. I kept giving him the real numbers, the real plan. By the 30-minute mark, Ellie stopped trying. Her eyes dropped to her lap. Marcus pretended to type. Tanya was sweating through her blouse. After the meeting, people scattered fast. Dale shook my hand and left. I gathered my papers slow, not rushing. Tanya was waiting for me in the hallway. "You think this is funny?" she hissed. I looked at her, calm. "Nope. I think it's necessary." Her eyes twitched. She blinked fast, like she couldn't decide if she was angry or scared. The mask cracked just for a second, and I saw it. Panic. She took a step back, like she realized she'd shown too much, straightened her jacket, tried to recover. But I already saw it, and I wasn't about to let it slide. "You brought this on yourself," I said. "You could have played straight, but you went for the knife." She scoffed but didn't say anything else. I walked past her without another word. No yelling, no scene, no mic drop, just facts. She knew what she'd done, and now she knew I wasn't going anywhere. By the end of the first week, my inbox was full of names I hadn't heard from since the day they watched me drag 3 garbage bags across the damn lobby. "Hey man, do you still have the rollout templates? Do you remember the updated metrics for the Arizona project? Any chance you saved those legacy system notes?" All polite, all desperate. I replied the same way every time. "Sorry, can't help with internal files." Good luck I wasn't their help desk. I wasn't their plan B. And I sure as hell wasn't their fixer now that the ship was taking on water. Second week, I was back at my dad's, sitting on the porch, drinking black coffee out of a chipped mug when Spencer from IT pulled up in a beat-up Honda with expired tags. He didn't even knock, just walked straight up, holding a printed packet like it was radioactive. "Confidential memo," he said, eyes wide. "Came through internal yesterday. Ellie's gone." I raised an eyebrow. "Gone, resigned, effective immediately. No 2-week, no exit interview, nothing smart move," I said. "That's not all. Henderson's on the edge. They're talking breach of contract. Legal's panicking." I stood up, took the memo from him. "Let me guess. Tanya's blaming me." Spencer gave a weak laugh. "She's saying you're tanking the rollout." I snorted. "I'm the only reason they haven't pulled out already." He didn't argue. After he left, I sat down at the kitchen table and pulled out the old accordion file from the corner cabinet, my original employment paperwork. I read the non-compete clause again, slow this time. It was real, technically binding, but vague. No language about intellectual property. No clause about external vendor rights. Nothing clear on frameworks I built myself. So I opened my laptop and dug deeper. Emails, old ones. Back when Tanya still trusted me. Subject lines like client framework approval and custom build for Henderson, green light. Most were short. Her giving me written go-ahead to design and implement client-specific tools. Language like all yours and run with it. All dated, all signed. I forwarded them to Carl, my old college roommate turned corporate lawyer. Subject line, need eyes on this. Urgent 20 minutes later, my phone buzzed. Carl didn't waste time. "You've got leverage." "Real leverage?" I asked. "Black and white authorization. She can't pull back a signed green light, especially not if you kept everything client-side I did," I said. "Then they've got no leg to stand on," he said. "You're not violating shit. You're fulfilling." I leaned back in the chair and exhaled. The house was on fire, but it wasn't mine anymore. Next meeting, I walked into the conference room like it was any other check-in. Dale was already at the head of the table, flipping through a binder. The air was tight. Everyone felt it. 2 minutes later, Tanya walked in. Not alone. She had some stiff in a gray suit trailing her, briefcase in hand, no name tag. Corporate legal, clearly. She didn't even sit, just slid a folder across the table toward me, like she was serving a warrant. "Before we begin," she said, voice way too calm, "our legal counsel would like to address something." The guy stood up, smoothed his tie. "Sean, this is a formal notice to cease and desist client interaction under your prior non-compete." I didn't flinch. Just reached into my own folder and dropped Carl's letter and the printed email chain on the table. Dale leaned in, watching like it was a poker game, and I'd just called Tanya's bluff. "These," I said, tapping the emails, "show I was explicitly authorized by Tanya to develop original client-side frameworks. My IP not company-owned, not shared." Tanya's lawyer scanned the first page, slowed down, flipped another page, then another. By the fourth page, his eyebrows knit together. I turned the letter from Carl toward him. "This explains why that non-compete doesn't apply. I'm not duplicating company property. I'm continuing what I was given permission to build. You've got nothing, silence." Tanya's face flushed. She opened her mouth, then shut it again. Dale set his binder down. Calm. Controlled. "We're not switching vendors, yet," he said, staring at Tanya. "But we need Sean in this room. If that's a problem, we'll take our business elsewhere." The temperature dropped 10 degrees. Tanya looked like someone had punched her behind the knees. She backed down. Didn't say a word. Just nodded once and sat down like the wind had been knocked out of her. The lawyer closed his briefcase without another word. He knew. The rest of the meeting went fast. Dale let me lead. The team followed my rollout plan like it was scripture. Tanya didn't speak again. She just watched. Quiet. Cornered. Afterward, I left the building and sat in my truck with the windows down. My phone buzzed. "Carl." "You win?" he asked. "They folded," I said. He chuckled. "Told you." There was a pause. Then he added, "If you ever wanted to go independent full-time, now's the moment. You've got the leverage, the contacts, the legal green light." I looked at the building. Thought about the years I spent inside, killing myself for people who thought I was disposable. Then I said, "Let's do it." No hesitation. 2 weeks after the cease and desist stunt, I got an email with a subject line that just said, "Touch base?" It was from Melanie, the executive VP at my old firm. I didn't answer right away. I let it sit. I knew what it was. Dale had been talking, loudly, and not just to one person. 3 other clients had already reached out to me directly, asking if I was available for a side conversation. I finally replied with one line, "I'm available for a conversation, not a cleanup job." They booked a meeting, in person. High-rise downtown, top floor, executive boardroom with polished floors, and those chairs that swivel too easy. I didn't wear a tie. Linda was already there when I arrived, chair of the board. 60-something, sharp eyes, short gray hair, no small talk. She waved me in. "Let's make this simple." I sat. "We're restructuring," she said, and not the Tanya version. Real structure. We're launching a new department focused on client retention and long-term partnerships. And we want you to lead it. I didn't react. I just waited. She continued. "You'd have full operational budget, your own head count, and freedom to design your own systems." I looked out the window for a second, let that sink in. Then I turned back. "You're asking me to come back to the same place that threw me out with a USB stick and 3 trash bags." "No," she said. "I'm offering you a department built from scratch. You won't report to Tanya. You'll report directly to the board, build your own team, own your outcomes." I didn't say yes. I didn't say no. I told her I needed 72 hours to think. She agreed. I walked out of there with no emotion on my face. But under it, my brain was already sorting. That night I sat down and wrote out a list, what I'd need, what I'd demand, and what I'd never tolerate again. The next morning, I sent it as a formal counteroffer, full authority over client success and retention, final say on hires, no internal interference from ops, HR, or legal unless I invite it. They replied in under an hour, accepted. I walked through those front doors 1 month later, no badge check, no questions, no trash bags. This time, I had a corner office waiting for me. Glass walls, my name already on the door, the kind of office you don't ask for. They offer it. I dropped my laptop bag on the desk, adjusted the blinds, and checked the time. 10 minutes until Tanya's weekly all-hands with the client retention team. I didn't bother knocking. I walked in mid-slide. She was standing at the front, rambling through a half-baked strategy about client engagement like none of the last few weeks ever happened. A few of the staff looked confused when I stepped in. Others just looked down. Tanya paused, clearly caught off guard. Sean, can I help you? I kept walking right up to the head of the table. Yeah, I said. We're restructuring client retention. Effective today. Her jaw literally dropped. I turned to the room. As of this morning, this team no longer reports to Tanya. They report to me. Murmurs started immediately. Someone in the back coughed. Tanya recovered fast. I think we should take this offline. I didn't let her finish. There's nothing to discuss. Silence. She clenched the remote in her hand so tight I thought the plastic might crack. I turned back to the team. Your roles haven't changed, just your leadership. Check your inboxes for updated reporting lines. That's all. Then I walked out. 10 minutes later, she barged into my office without knocking. You blindsided me, she said, voice shaking. This is personal. I looked up from my screen. No, this is what happens when you play dirty and get caught. You think this makes you the good guy? No, I said. It just makes me in charge. She crossed her arms. So that's it? I get sidelined while you take my team? You still have your title, I said. Still have your salary. What you don't have is authority. That's what you gave up when you threw me out to cover your own ass. She didn't answer, just stood there, stuck between anger and humiliation. Then she turned and walked out without another word. After that, she stopped showing up to team meetings. She still floated around the office with a clipboard like she was running something, but everyone knew. She had no staff, no projects, no say. 6 months in, the numbers spoke louder than I ever could. Client satisfaction, highest it's ever been. Retention rate, up 25%. Dale Henderson sent over a bottle of 20-year-old scotch with a note that just said, "Glad we bet on the right guy." The team was solid, mine from the ground up. No dead weight, no politics, no babysitting. Just people who got it done. We didn't do check-in meetings for the sake of optics. We delivered. Tanya still drifted through the office like a ghost with a clipboard, pretending to take notes that no one ever asked for. She hadn't run a project in months. Every now and then, she'd wander over during lunch or after a meeting and toss out a line like, "You know what might help here?" I'd nod, smile, go right back to doing things the way I planned. Let her watch. She made herself smaller without realizing it. The looks she used to get when she walked into a room, gone. Now it was polite silence, then back to work. Then one Thursday, my old man stopped by. He walked around the floor, shook a few hands, took in the whiteboards, the pacing, the chatter. He nodded once, real slow, then looked at me. Not bad for a guy they toss like garbage. I smirked. Not bad at all. Before he left, he paused at my desk and pointed to the small ceramic pot next to my monitor. That the same plant they trashed? A cutting, I said. The original didn't make it, but it's still growing. He nodded, didn't need to say anything else. Because that's the truth of it. You either rot where they dump you, or you take root somewhere else. Me? I grew back stronger, and they saw every second of it.